Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about Claude 3, the latest AI by Anthropic that beats GPT-5 almost every single time at pretty much every task. Not only does Claude 3 beat GPT-5, but it's also cheaper, and I think it's around 10 times cheaper from what I read online, so that should be great for developers and API developers. Now I'm going to go take a look at this graph and see the differences between GPT-4, GPT 3.5, and then Claude 3 and the various models that Anthropic has to offer. So as we look at this data, we can see that Claude 3 Opus beats every single GPT and Gemini too. This is for undergraduate level knowledge, graduate level reasoning, grade school math, problem solving, multilingual math, code, and mixed evaluations, and reasoning over text, which is something interesting that we don't see with many models. So there are three models for Claude 3: Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. Opus being the best and Haiku being the cheapest. Now, Haiku is still good, but I don't think it's as good as Opus, their latest and greatest model. Now, I've noticed a problem with GPT-4 that it'll often refuse harmless prompts, but the jump between Claude 2.1 and Claude 3 has seen a significant gap within prompt refusal, in a good way. New users have reported improved accuracy, near human performance, and just a broader understanding of various topics. Claude 3 demonstrates advanced capabilities in reasoning, expert knowledge, and mathematics, language fluency. As we can see here, Claude 3 has a context window of over 200,000 tokens, which is larger than GPT-4 and beats Gemini too. Some potential uses include raw data processing, sales, and time-saving tasks such as code generation, quality control, and parsing text from images. The differentiator is more affordable than other models, and it has similar intelligence, which is better for scale. Now, Claude 3 does not have some of the features that ChatGPT has, such as the custom voices and beta plugins. Plugins are going to go away soon and be replaced with custom GPT, which is something I wanted to talk about. Now, OpenAI had to come out with some sort of response, so this is what happened. They released a read aloud feature, which is kind of a weak update, but it still sets the news nonetheless for what's to come in the future. This is kind of a light release before GPT-5, and all it really does is just read out the text with one of its custom voices. I'm about to play the trailer of the read aloud feature, so we can look at that real quick.
In the vast blue ocean, there lived a shark named Finley, known far and wide as the superhero of the sea, thanks to his gleaming, spotless teeth. Every morning and night, Finley would embark on a thrilling adventure, battling the evil black pirates and their leader, Tartar the Terrible.
Now, you don't even need a human to read things to you anymore, so if you struggle reading the outputs from ChatGPT, you can just have a robot read it to you. It isn't in its best form right now, but the technology is still relatively new and has room to improve. Okay, I'm done talking about GPT-4 now. Let's go to Claude 3. Let's just take a look at how amazing this technology is in the latest trailer.
In this video, we're going to see if Claude and a couple of friends can help us analyze the world economy in a matter of minutes. Okay, I've asked Claude 3 Opus, which is the largest model in Anthropic's new Claude 3 family, to look at the GDP trends for the US and write down a markdown table of what it sees. We've given Opus, and all the other models in the Claude 3 family, extensive training on tool use, and one of the major tools it's using is this Web View tool. It goes to a URL, looks at what's on the page, and because it's multimodal, it can use the information on that page to solve complex problems. So here's the markdown, and it's important to note that Claude doesn't have direct access to these numbers. It's literally looking at this same browser you and I are seeing, looking at the trend line, and trying to estimate what the exact numbers are. Let's see how accurate it was. We've asked the model to create a plot of the data, and it's used this second tool, this Python interpreter, to write out the code and then render the image for us to check. And here's the image. Look, it's actually added helpful little tooltip animations to explain some of the major peaks and troughs in the last decade or two of the US economy. And we can compare that graph with the actual data, and it turns out it's pretty close. It's actually within 5% accuracy. And by the way, Claude's transcription here isn't just coming from its pre-existing knowledge of US GDP. We tried it with a large sample of made-up GDP graphs, and its transcription accuracy was within 11% on average. Next, we asked the model to do some statistical analysis, projecting out into the future, performing simulations to see where the GDP of the US might head. And we can see that it's run this analysis using Python, and it's able to perform these Monte Carlo simulations to see what the range of GDP possibilities might look like for the next decade or so. But I wonder if we can go further. We're going to get the model to analyse a more complicated question, that is, how GDP might change across all of the biggest world economies. And then to help it do that, we're going to give it one more tool called Dispatch Subagents. This basically allows the model to break down the problem into lots of subproblems and then write prompts for other versions of itself to help pick up the slack. The models can then complete a more complex task by all working together. Here you can see it's written this prompt and given very precise instructions that it wants the other models to follow, including a format for the data that it's hoping to return. It's dispatched a version of this prompt to one model that's going to look at the US, one for China, one for Germany, Japan, and so on. And we can see in these progress bars that the subagent models are now completing the set task for each of the individual economies. They're going to the relevant web pages, they're getting the information, they're running the code to analyze it, just like we saw in the previous US example, but all in parallel. Let's just skip forward to see what the model produced. You can see it's run the analysis, it's produced a pre and post pie chart of how it expects the world economy to look in 2030 versus 2020, and it's given us a written analysis too, where it makes verbal predictions that relate to the statistical analysis that it ran. It's telling us that it thinks the GDP share of particular economies will change and which ones will be larger or smaller by 2030. So there we have it. Complex, multi-step, multimodal analysis run by a model that can create subagents to get even more tasks running in parallel. We're excited to see what you, our customers, can do with these advanced Claude 3 capabilities.
Alright, as we can see, Anthropic always puts out the best stuff that they have. It can do tasks such as economics now, and even analyze graphs that it previously couldn't have. Overall, I think Claude 3 is a great step towards the future with AI, and I'm excited for more releases such as GPT-4 and other OpenAI products, so I'll make sure to keep you guys updated. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you later.